Welcome to another episode of MoloMolo Tech Talk. I'm Dr. PK, bringing clarity to technical minds. Unfortunately, Anela is not with us, but man, are we going to have a great time. I'm super excited to be here. Let's go. Welcome to another episode of MoloMolo Tech Talk. Really exciting to be with all of you today. It is, again, a Friday afternoon. Tired. How are you feeling? How you and I are feeling. It is incredibly difficult sometimes to process on a Friday afternoon how one is really feeling after a stressful day, a stressful week. It's not always easy, but we need to try, of course. We need to try and be self-aware. One of the values of MoloMolo Tech that we try to give everybody, including myself, is self-awareness. The ability to be self-aware, the ability to want to bring some level of thought into everyone, including yourself, of how we should address the feelings that we have, how we should address the feelings that we have towards other people, and hopefully become better human beings because of that. So really excited to be here this evening. Wow, I had a stressful day. Unfortunately, Anel is not here for us to bounce off, but how did you find the last episode? Let us know in the comments that will come out, either the audio podcasts or the YouTube videos. Let us know how you found the previous episode. Again, this is live, this is happening. This is really exciting to be able to have this type of format here in MoloMolo Tech. Of course, it helps if there's a partner next to me, but I do have an incredibly important theme for us to talk about, and it's by Anele. Really, she came up with it, and I'm just piggybacking on what she's sent. And basically, we are going to be talking about a very interesting theme, which is building a personal brand that opens doors. Whoa, that is crazy. I think basically the idea here is to figure out what does it mean how can we distinguish between competence and visibility, right? How do we do that? How does one get to a point where you are seen not for how loud you are, but for how deep and the weight of what you say and the weight of who you are as a person in terms of branding. Also, just kind of some LinkedIn hacks for authentic personal branding. I think this is also something that I can give my opinion. Of course, Anela is not here, so I will be trying on my best to give her opinion. And of course, this is really about storytelling. So, really trying to give that input in terms of just where have you been, where have I been, but also kind of some of the stories that I've seen and I've heard, and I think it's super important for us to have this discussion, just a discussion on this Friday evening to try and really just kick off the weekend in a way that will give you meaning, in a way that gives us just relevance of where we want to go. So what is personal branding? I think it's such a big word, right? I mean, whoa, personal branding is such a big word. I mean, if I were to really dissect it, and of course, what is something that I will be using as I got Tommy here. Tommy is my personal assistant in MoloMolo Tech. I call him Tommy. He assists me in all sorts of things. He's not an AI agent. He's my agent. He's not an AI agent. He's my agent. He's mine. I don't share with anybody. Tommy is such an amazing voice in my head. And of course, he gives me a lot of advice. So, what is personal branding? From a tech perspective, I think it's quite an interesting conversation to have. But I think this is the answer that I will give. Right? Is personal branding is how you present and communicate your unique value as a professional. It's your skills, your experience, your mindset, and your personality. Let me repeat that. It's your skills, your experience, your mindset, and your personality. That compared to others, right? What skills do you bring? What mindset do you bring? What experience do you bring? And what personality, who you are, right? Your story, essentially. And this is such an important thing because it goes into competence and visibility. Personal branding is all about who you are. In actual fact, it's about recognizing where you're at. Everybody can have a personal brand, but very few are willing to venture it because it means you need to be self aware of what you have and what you don't have, and how what you don't have is not a knock against what you have, but what you have needs to be an amplifier of what is unique about you. This is an exercise that I think a lot of people haven't done. I would not say I am an expert in personal branding, but I also would say that I've come a long way in understanding what I bring, in understanding why I bring it, in understanding why am I unique and accepting that uniqueness and seeing ways and means to amplify that uniqueness. Which in a way leads me to that first point. Competence versus visibility. What does that even mean? And I think it's got a lot to do with the four things that I just mentioned. Competence got a lot to do with your skills and experience, but also it's got to do with mindset. It's got to do with mindset. And if you think about it, it's so easy to be visible but yet incompetent. Where you it's all about the flashy things. Your personality trumps everything. You are the loud and the flashy, and you always try and turn heads with either how you look or what you say or even what you think you're saying, but there's very little substance because it's not combined with who you are as a person. It's not combined with who you are as an individual. Just give me a second. My battery's about to die. So it's quite important for all of us to have an understanding of what that means. Okay, it's such an important thing to understand that competence and visibility, even though they a competent person for personal branding sake needs to be visible, but you cannot be visible in spite of you being incompetent because that is also incredibly short sighted. And how does one play that out in terms of branding? It's got to do with what experience do you bring. Now, let's take an example for someone who's just out of high school, no, out of varsity. Let's just let's just try and keep it at a certain level. Let's just say you're out of varsity, right? University, right? For those who are not South African, university. What does that mean? What does that mean for us? Because I do want to think that it is often something that we don't always understand, and we don't always think that we do have the branding to give it out there. So let me give an example. You're out of varsity or university, and you need to start your LinkedIn career, really. You need to start your personal brand on LinkedIn. What are the things that makes you unique? And what are the things that makes you exciting that somebody can think about, I would like to speak to this person a bit more. And this has got to do with me as an employer who are looking to expand and really, by the way, we've got a very strong consultancy program going on. It will be an announcement on its own, but it is important for me as an employer to say, what is it that makes this person unique? What gives him or her the edge? what allows them to bring a certain level of uniqueness and competence really to the organization. And one of the things you can do as a youngling into the professional world is, what projects are you doing? What interests you? And this is incredibly important. It may sound so vague, but it's not, because what interests you, you have to think about. You have to try different things until you figure out what interests you, and then you really honing the skill on it. Really think about that. And of course, I just see Anela just send me her view, since she's where she is. She's not able to join due to connection issues. So I'll probably read out her comment. But I think it's so important as a youngling, where you think you're in a disadvantage, you're actually in an advantage, because you do have the time to come up with projects that can show your personality or what you care about. Maybe a project that you're doing in your community, that whether it's a financial, a technical, or organizational, or whatever the case may be, that shows who you are, shows the competence that you have while you're looking for the next step in your work. Incredibly powerful in personal branding, and you hone that in, and you hone that, and you make it your own. So this is a very good example. Of course, on the other side of the scale, can be an example regarding someone who is in its late 60s or late 50s, I would say, because late 60s you probably already think about retiring. Late 50s, and you've just changed jobs, and how do you or you've just lost your last job, I mean, hi to all Lillians who are still looking for a job. Strength be to you. Let's just say you're in your late 50s, and you are looking for work, and now you're thinking, what personal branding can I bring? And that is, again, there is inferior complex that, or should I say, yeah, an inferior complex that basically undervalues what you have, or you feel like it's too much, or you're not sure if it's relevant enough. Again, there's learning there. Pick one and figure out what is it that you want to do, that you enjoy, and you're not stressed out by the next few years that you need for retiring. Think about what you bring to the table, and there's a lot of it. Whether you need help with that, of course, MoloMolo Tech does a lot of coaching, so we can definitely get together when it comes to that. But really bring that to the fore, and understand that this is something that can really change the game for you, and for others who are just like you, who are not sure about what is it that they can definitely bring to the table. So I do think this is an incredible topic, because it allows one to really think through, um, and obviously it's not something that one should always be, what's the word, it should not always something that should take for granted. And of course, one of the things that I always think about, is, what else can I do? What else can I do that will allow me to really grow in my competencies, so that my personal branding can be integrated, can be wholesome. It's not something that I'm, picking here and picking there. That is consistent. That what is it that I enjoy? So any case, so that's something that I really wanted to say about that point. So now, what else did I wanted to talk about today, and at least around personal branding? Let me just write to Anele. I cannot open this voice note. Okay. So now, of course, the other aspect that really brings about a specific vantage point is LinkedIn. How best to use LinkedIn, right? This is where we can spend a few minutes. Is LinkedIn hacks, man? Oh goodness, there's so many things you can do. One of the things that I believe you can start doing, I wouldn't say go straight into the obvious, which is use ChatGPT to come up with. I've done it, and to be honest, my best LinkedIn messages were not without ChatGPT. They were 3, 4, 5 lines long. I was super raw on what I was going through. I was super authentic of what I wanted to say, and that got a lot of resonated with a lot of people. So ChatGPT is overused on LinkedIn, to be honest, and people see right through it. Why? Because it's from the same reference, and it loses the very thing that makes this brand personal, which is personality. So I would really, if you feel like you're not a good writer, write 3 lines. Seriously, write 3 lines. Write something like, "This morning I had a thought." Sometimes it is so difficult to look beyond the issues that you have throughout the day. Be kind to yourself and keep going anyway. I just came I came up with this on the spot. That's it. Basically, it's about being self-aware. What are you reflecting on right now? And it's not about just technical things. I think this is where people get it wrong. Another life like LinkedIn hack is, don't make it too technical all the time. People want to know who you are. People want to resonate. People want to connect with you about the things that they're going through that you are expressing. Speak about it. Be consistent. 3 lines, 2 lines. Repost something else and put your comment on it. What do you think? There's another LinkedIn hack. Comment on things, reply and repost. Those things. Comment, reply, and repost. You don't even have to post your own. Just do that and consistently give it in such a way that you are giving your opinion. Even if your opinion is wrong, it's okay. It's okay. You are learning. Nobody actually cares. To be honest, they don't care. If you give them a wrong opinion, people will probably not give you the time of day. If you gave them a right opinion that they resonate, they will give you a thumbs up. So, you have everything to gain, but very little to lose. So do it anyway. And last but not least, I want to share just a very little story about just some of the people that have been working for MoloMolo Tech have been incredibly, passionate about just, sharing their story. I know some, I've had the fortune and the misfortune of being an employer, and the misfortune is that you have to deal with people's issues in terms of personal issues. Some people have lost their families. Some people have, I've had a couple of people under me that have lost um, parents, and that is such an important message about your story. What is your story? Why do you do what you do? Why do you keep going? Why do you see the need to keep going? That is such an amazing, amazing personal angle towards personal branding. Tell your story. Don't be shy. Write. If you're not sure, draft on LinkedIn and come back. But write. I think this is such an important. This is how MoloMolo Take started. It started with just me saying, you know what? Let me just tell my story. I don't know where this is going. I don't know what I'm trying to do. I just know that it's time to tell my story. And here we are, a year and a half later, registered as self-employed, and hopefully on the way to change the world. So today's theme was all about personal branding. I know if you want to, for the next time, if you want to kind of call in and give your input, you can do so on hello@molomolotech.com, or join our community group on WhatsApp, and you'll be able to get the latest info on the show MoloMolo Tech, or any other information, especially when it comes to internships or consultant contracting. We're definitely going to have a separate video and an advert on this, but it's definitely something that we are working a lot on to try and really expose the world of MoloMolo Tech to the African continent, and then hopefully South America, Eastern Europe, Asia. This is really exciting times over the next few months and years for us to basically change the game. I believe the game needs to be changed. The consulting game needs to be changed, and I believe people are ready and ripe to really feed on the knowledge that I believe MoloMolo Tech will bring. So again, I'm Dr. PK. This was another amazing time for us to talk about MoloMolo Tech. Really, really exciting. It is incredibly incredibly amazing to have another episode. So again, if you've gotten a really exciting time to really listen to us, again, please give us your comments, send us messages on what you would like to hear next, and we will definitely try and put it into the show next time. What do we say? We say something. Dr. PK, we have done it again. Another episode where we were able to hopefully give you some clarity on what does it mean to have a technical mindset on bringing clarity to your career. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. PK. Until next time. Ciao.